for the sake of clarity, maybe let's unpack the whole concept of the last mile even further into 4 categories to be specific. So we have decision design, we have insights and drives, we have decision framing, and execution ownership. Let's start with the decision design. As mentioned before, most BI initiatives starts with the data that we have at our disposal, which to some extent makes sense, right? But what is better practice here is that decision-driven analytics should start with the decisioning process. You know, how are we making the decisions? What is the thought process behind it? Who is deciding on, you know, certain topics? Who is deciding in certain situations, and so on? About what? You know, based on which signals, based on which reasons, based on which underlying drivers, and so on and so on. And you know, if all of those elements are not clear, then dashboards and reports will create discussions rather than commitments. And this is super important distinction, right? We want commitments, not discussions. As mentioned, discussions can be okay to some extent, but at the end, they need to result in action, commitment, and execution. And this is what decision design should be driving. And this is kind of the foundation of the last mile. If you don't have decision clarity, then we won't have decision quality, to put it simply. Next, let's continue with insights and drivers. So for example, let's think of executives, managers, decision makers in general. They should not be like analyzing dashboards in real time. Reports should have actionable and intuitive design, in the sense that, you know, they follow the decision process. They clearly highlight the variance, the patterns, the trends. They decompose the drivers, show the magnitude and the impact of a certain things. So in theory, they should be like seamless, intuitive, you know, easy to process. And you know, if that's not the case, then oftentimes meeting can be spent figuring out what happened. Then, you know, the last mile is already broken. And as mentioned, this can go into like fruitless ongoing debates with no action at the end. So this stage needs to eliminate all speculation. It needs to be straight to the point. And of course, having the right structure and the right design is super important in the context that it must support the thought process behind it. And then we enter the decision framing stage or category. And the whole idea here is that insights alone do not create action. I repeat, insights alone do not create action, even if they are a really good one, right? Even a great report or dashboard does not guarantee success, because every important like variance, business situation, right, should imply, you know, a few different things. Do we need to, you know, act on this, or do we need to adjust something? Do we need to maybe just monitor, or we need like immediate escalation, right? So what we need at this point is a decision framing. And this is no longer so much a technology and design question. I would say like people factor comes more and more into play here, because people and knowledge becomes much more relevant at this point. If the report doesn't guide the decision logic, then the last mile stays here. And, you know, it's important that people have the right knowledge in terms of understanding the report, understanding the data, understanding, of course, the business they are covering on a daily basis, and make the right decisions, right? So at this point, you know, the whole process should be about deciding on things, making decisions, and as we will see in the final step, act upon it. So now we need a decision, we need action, we need execution, basically. And this is the most common failure point, as you mentioned, Mark, right? If we don't write them down, if we don't assign the action items, the whole last mile can get broken here. So basically, it's all about, you know, we need to assign who owns the action, what needs to be done, even set the due dates, what impact is expected, so that we can have follow-ups on all those activities, see if we are progressing in the right direction, and in general, just track the progress so that it doesn't get lost. And, you know, the last mile is complete only when execution is assigned and action is tracked. And now finally, kind of to summarize everything, right? Solving the last mile, as obviously we demonstrated throughout the session already, it's not just about one thing, right? It's not just about having the better technology. It's also not, you know, just having the right design. to structure insights, or it's also not just about people, right? Because even like great minds without the right data and the right reports cannot make decisions. It's about basically all of those key elements working together. So basically, technology gives us the data and ability to kind of visualize it together with design. So design structures the insights, and then of course people are the ones who are interpreting it, making decisions based on that. And then the final one, I would say, it's the process. Of course, it's a mix of people, but the process is actually the one who turns insights into action. If we have clear processes in terms of how we interact with the data, do we follow up, do we assign ownership, do we act upon it, and so on, then this whole last mile area is covered. And as mentioned, all four elements need to work in unison, need to work together, and only then, we will have this closed loop, and the last mile will be handled appropriately. Okay, so that was kind of the theory behind the last mile. Now, of course, the key part is how all of that looks in real life on concrete examples and so on. So this will be now the second part of the webinar, where we will focus more on technical side of things. So let me jump over to Power BI. Okay, so this is a solid example of something we would call an actionable dashboard. So we have top level KPIs on the left, then we have a table with some additional insights and chart below with time series perspective of the performance as well. Now, I guess you already noticed it's quite variance heavy, which helps us understand, to spotter the patterns below the plan performance and so on. And also in the comments, we have, I would say, like more actionable structure from the perspective of first explaining the business situation, but then also having the action items, even the status of those action items. And, all of that is kind of putting all those theoretical concepts mentioning before into the real life examples. Now, Mark, can you please demonstrate, what can we do next? How can we interact with the report? How can we go more into the details and in general understand our business better so that at the end we can make better decisions and, having the proper execution?
Absolutely. So as Tine mentioned, right, here we have a standardized pattern also in terms of how to represent certain aspects of the dashboard in terms of forecasts, right, for the remainder of the years with the hatched pattern and in the tables here. But here we can easily get to the decisions where necessary, right? And we can, first of all, structure our decision-making process by following what the dashboard tells us, right? So we can go for the KPIs and see whether we're looking at net earnings and so on. It basically allows us to structure our decision-making process around the information that we have here. So, for instance, when we're looking then at the commentary that is provided on top of this, and this can be done within the visualization itself, linked to the data points, it actually provides that context and meaning that isn't even in the data itself, right? So this action items and commentary can then allow us to structure our action flows directly through the visualizations and dashboards. So for instance, when I want to link my other reports or actions from other departments, right, where I need to get that further insight, I can get to those in a single click, right? So I can just click to a report that will take me to the cost center report analysis and so on, right? So basically, in this case, it can be even cross-platform, and this is the wonderful thing about Zebra BI. It's supported on multiple platforms. We keep the same design language, and again, we can just continue with the exploration. It's a clear messaging in terms of variance analysis, and then we can use some of the common reporting best practices to, of course, understand all of our information to then, of course, schedule and track the actions, right? And even within different platforms, we can also use all of the interactivity features. Now, we can go into the Excel reporting, we can go into PowerPoint slide decks, right? And both of these will actually move us directly through the right actions that have been presented to us already with the commentary supported through the visualizations itself, through the standardized impact, but most of all is the importance of the drivers that we can include in our dashboards and slides that explain everything, and we can include the action items in the visualizations itself. Now, if we return back to the original report, right, we can of course then look at status completion, update the information and so on directly on the visualizations. But we can also move into more structured, detailed reports, right? That still reside within the same BI environment or on a different platform, but we have this unified language that explains our variances analysis. So in this case, we might even go to like, because we now understand that our net earnings are down through the because of the Europe sales and so on, we can then structure that actions, and further like decreases in August, right? In net earnings due to the higher costs have resulted in another action item to look, and we can look at